Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of TylerPreston20 Live. Of course, I'm Tyler, and of course, I'm just going to react to some random stuff that I see on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter, and whatever. And so, let's start the whole entire program by just reacting to some stuff. Hey, Tyler, what's up? Hey, man, what's up? How you doing, man? Hi, how are you? Hi. Hola, Tyler, ¿qué tal? Hola, Ernesto, ¿cómo estás? Do the 8 values test. Oh my god. Maybe later. Like, if you send me a link in the chat down below, I will do it later. But yeah, I'll do it as soon as you send me the link. Yay, I'm excited for this. Alright. So, the first thing we're gonna do, obviously, is to see some sort of video that's been done by Kendi. The same sort of guy that was like, how to be anti-racist. So the first thing, of course, we're going to play this video as much as I can, of course, and I'm going to stop and pause, and then I'm going to react to everything in the video. So without further hesitation, let's begin the video. And also after this video, I have some other videos lined up for you guys so I can react to. So without further hesitation, let's begin.
Our program now, and I'm just really excited and pleased to welcome you to this important event, Belonging in Practice, How to be an Anti-Racist, with our special guest, Ibram X. Kendi.
Okay, let me look at the comment right here. Kendi, Tyler, why are you doing this to us? Well, you see, I saw the speech, and I know that I did not react to this speech before on my channel, so it's kind of important for me to actually react to the speech. I actually read the book by Kendi, like, How to be Anti-Racist, and oh my god, guys, like, this whole entire thing was, like, crazy, because the whole purpose of anti-racism is that you have to be, like, anti-capitalist, and of course, you have to be, like, very much in favor of equity and stuff. So yeah, the whole entire idea is just crazy, man. But let's continue on with the video and see what's happening in it.
And my name is Denise Hurd, and I'm a professor of public health here at UC Berkeley. I'm also the associate director.
Oh, let's see, let me let her comment. I can't believe you made it through the book. Yeah, the thing is about the whole entire book was that there was like a lot of moments that I just felt very frustrated because, oh my god, I just had to, just kept on reading it and kept on reading it for the video. And so by the time I was done, I was like really, really happy. It felt like, like 1,000 pages, but it was only 200 pages when I saw the initial, numbers of the pages. So really crazy. Let's see, do a video on MAPs on YouTube. Okay, I'll try to maybe do a video on that, maybe after the live stream, but probably in the future. Okay, sup TylerPreston20, or shall I say, Chico Negro Hombre. Okay, what's up? Hello there, hi, how are you doing? So let's continue with the video.
Public Health in the House. I'm also the associate director for the House Institute for a Fair and Inclusive Society. And first off, I'd like to thank our 3 partner organizations who've worked so hard in putting this event together for all of us today. Borealis Philanthropy, the Haas Institute for a Fair and Inclusive Society, and Northern California Grant Makers. They've been fabulous. This event is part of UC Berkeley's 400 Years of Resistance to Slavery and Injustice series that started with an all-day symposium just a couple of weeks ago, and I hope many of you were able to attend. This is a year-long series of conversations and events to delve into the slavery past in America and its effects on our society now. Today's event is...
Let's see. Why do they always look smug when they speak? That's like a really good question, man. Like every single time I see like these sort of speeches, like they always look so super smug and their convictions. And so I don't know why. Let's see, isn't North Carolina very different than South Carolina? I haven't really visited actually. I only visited like Virginia, DC, and also like parts of Texas before, and Hawaii, and also Nevada and Las Vegas. Then some parts in California I went to. I went to Georgia. I of course went to Florida for like Orlando and also Jacksonville. So I've been to many places in the United States, but I've never been to the Carolinas. So I can't really answer how different they are.
Explores a crucial aspect of charting the course of how our country can transform this legacy of oppression and exclusion to one of belonging. And now I'd like to offer very deep gratitude and a huge thank you to our sponsors for making this event possible. The Stupsky Foundation, Akanandi Foundation, Kapoor Center, San Francisco Foundation, East Bay Community Foundation, and General Services Foundation.
You know what? I'm gonna skip the introduction because it's too long. So let's just skip to the meat of the whole entire thing, of course, because like I don't want to see like the whole entire lecture about all this sort of things. So let's go to the main point of the whole entire thing.
Advisors. I'm always just joyous when I'm outside of Washington, D.C. and certainly in a place like the Bay Area. And one of the reasons why I'm always joyous when I leave Washington, D.C. is because I have to continuously hear someone say that they're the least racist person you ever encountered. The least.
Wow, just wow. Is she saying that black people didn't belong in the past 60 years? Yes, 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 I did in fact hear the same exact same thing like she did. It's so amazing, like all these sort of claims that they make, but they have no evidence for.
Least racist person you've ever interviewed. He has said that he's the least racist person you've ever met. And then he decided to take it to a whole nother level and say, I'm the least racist person anywhere in the world. But, I didn't come here to talk about Donald Trump.
Yeah, what's so funny about all of this sort of stuff? Of course, this is probably was done like 2 years before the election with Joe Biden. But what's so funny about all of this, really, is that they're the ones calling like Donald Trump the most massive racist person in the entire universe. At the same time, I have not seen any of these anti-racist fuckwits ever criticize, the actions and the words of Joe Biden. Because if you look at the speeches, like almost every other week, I see more racism that's been done by Joe Biden than Donald Trump. And this is coming from somebody who's not really a fan of Trump either. I'm not necessarily a fan of any sort of one politician or any sort of, one political system. Because, of course, I've seen people, register as Democrat or Republican. I'm just independent. I don't necessarily cling to one party. But getting back to my main point, like I find it so funny that these sort of people, they criticize Donald Trump all day long about supposed racism, but none of these people once ever criticized Biden. That's the thing. It's just so weird. I love how anti-racists are like some of the biggest racists I see. Exactly, man. Exactly. Let's see. Why are these people so obsessed with race? This cancerous rabbit hole that only leads to group identification that wants to fight each other. I agree. Isn't he so clever? Crowd loving it for no reason. Exactly. Exactly. A matter of fact, I would say this is almost like, some sort of church gathering, this whole entire thing, He's on the pulpit, right? He's giving his sort of, kind of, confession, his speech. So it's almost like quasi-religious in a sense that he's actually preaching to the choir. So.
And so let's just get him out the way. Is that cool? I came here to talk about those Americans who oppose Donald Trump, but who also self-identify like Donald Trump as not racist. And ironically, Americans who self-identify as not racist, whether they're conservatives, moderates, liberals, radicals, progressives, they don't realize, I think many of us don't realize, that we are connecting ourselves to a history of slave traders who self-identified as not racist, although they didn't use that term. We're connecting ourselves to.
What in the fuck is he talking about? So he's saying that because people in the past didn't necessarily call themselves not racist, they were not racist? Is that what I'm understanding right now? Because honestly, of course, people who are racist would deny that they're racist. That's true. But I don't necessarily think that sort of term was even back then. So
enslavers who said, yes, when we say Black people should be enslaved, when we say slavery is a positive good, when we say slavery is a necessary evil, when we say that Black people are the cursed descendants of Ham, those are not racist ideas.
I'm just curious, what person in the modern day do not think it's not racist ideas? In the modern day, of course. In the past, you could probably make an argument that, yes, those kind of people just hold those kind of views, and those are racist views. Yes, I agree. But what person in the modern day actually thinks that kind of way? Let's see. Every society had participated in slavery of different people and groups. Exactly. Yo. Let's see. Just because the Europeans were efficient at buying slaves doesn't take away what other countries did to get slaves. Exactly, man. Exactly.
That's God's law. That's science's law. That's nature. That's logic. We don't realize we're connecting to Jim Crow segregationists who said, I'm not racist. It's separate but equal down here. You can't tell. No, we can't.
What's so funny about all of this, right? He's talking about, Jim Crow and separate but equal. Yet at the same time, many of his colleagues actually, advocate for separate but equal. Just go to college campuses. Any sort of American university right now, they have separate buildings for Black students. I'm not even joking. When I was going to, one of my, brother's colleges, right? Basically what happened was I saw a whole entire Black only center. And there's the other kind of centers for minorities too. Of course, this whole entire example of, the CHAD, Chad place, whatever, in Oregon. I forgot the exact symbol or whatever. Basically, that also has some sort of separate but equal thing, right? And so there was also this whole entire poster that I remember. It was this poster, I believe, was white only and then people of color only in some place. That's happening too. And then there were some speakers that were also denied based upon their race. And so it's kind of funny. He's talking about segregationists, right? But at the same time, probably some of his colleagues are advocating for that kind of stuff. It's so weird. So weird, man.
You can't tell? No, we can't. You can't tell it's separate but equal. We're following the law. We're not racist. We're connecting to eugenicists who were really the first group of Americans to be classified as racist, who also turned around and said, this is science. This isn't racism. This is science. We have empirical data to demonstrate.
All right. What fueled the hatred of slavery in the West was the value ideas of the Enlightenment and French and English common law. Before then, no country had anything against slavery. Yeah, that's true. Let's see, I grew up in the evangelical church. He reminds me of one of their preachers. Exactly. This whole entire thing is so religious in nature. He's up to the pulpit. He's doing his whole entire, stuff going on there. So it reminds me so much of that kind of stuff. Tyler, I propose we start a Kickstarter to build a power station over Dr. King's grave. I have a feeling we'll be able to provide lots of clean energy if this trend continue. Yeah, of course. Of course, of course, of course. Let's see. Every race at one point has been impressed. Exactly. Let's see. Slaves were not always of a different race. In biblical times, a person could be sold into slavery, but they could be both Jews. Exactly. Isn't eugenics a 20th century idea? Well, yes, it is. I think so. I think so, but don't quote me on that. But what's so funny about it, though, is like, one of the most famous eugenics that I know of, at least of history, was like the founder of Planned Parenthood, who basically hated absolutely just hated blacks. And so the whole entire racist, ideas of abortions originated from that person, Margaret Sanger, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, I'm waiting for a crowd to climb in the background. Yeah. Oh, it was actually the 19th century. Okay, so it was actually the 19th century. Thank you. Yeah.
That Black people are intellectually inferior by nature. Just look at their test scores. And today, we have white nationalists, we have white supremacists who self-identify as not racist. We
have like the anti-racists who apparently are not racist but say the most racist, heinous things. Imagine that.
Have white supremacists who, before they go into a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, write a manifesto claiming that Latinx immigrants are invading Texas.
Oh, he said it. He just said it right here, folks. He just said it right here. He said that unforgivable word that most Latinos hate. Oh, no. Oh, no. Why is it like so many of these people say like that word? Oh, no. No. Let's see. Most slaves were a similar race back then because a limitation to technology and geography limiting the distances and areas people could control and conquer. Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. You have black supremacists too. Yeah, and also the black nationalists. Exactly. You have both types of peoples.
And then also claiming, I'm not racist. We have this long history of racists classifying themselves as not racist.
And we have like this whole entire thing is just projection right here. He said, yeah, like the non-racists who don't call themselves the racists. And here we have this guy calling himself the anti-racist who has the most racist ideas. Oh my goodness. The ironic thing about this, man.
Racists who cannot imagine that they have been reinforcing notions that there's something wrong with a particular racial group. Racists who can imagine that the policies and policymakers they're supporting are creating and reproducing racial inequity. Fundamentally, racism, its heartbeat, has always been denial. And the sound of that heartbeat has always been, I'm not racist. To be more specific, the sound of that heartbeat has always been not racist. And so in writing How to Be Anti-Racist, if I had one singular goal, if I could somehow shape the world.
The question from Stewart, okay. Did you see the Washington Post piece from a few months ago saying that many bird species had to be renamed because they were named after 19th century apologists for slavery? I heard about it, but I never read it out loud. So maybe for my next video, when I get a chance after this live stream, I could probably talk about that article on my channel. But that's so ridiculous. That is so ridiculous. Let's see, from my perspective, blacks never want to bring the issue of black racism and supremacy that happens in their community. Most people don't like to admit that there are some ideas that they hold are racist. True, that is absolutely true. That's true.
What I would hope would come out of this book is very simply we would eradicate the term not racist from the American vocabulary. And then it would force people to recognize that they're either what? Racist or anti-racist. It would force America.
By the way, guys, his definition of like a racist is somebody who's not actively participating against, I guess, the legal system in order to be against racism. That's his definition of racism. And of course, behind anti-racism, for his own definition in the book, he does in fact say that you need equality of outcomes to not be a racist. You have to be anti-capitalist in order to not be a freaking racist, according to his book. And so he's given some sort of false dilemma fallacy, or like the black or white fallacy, where it's pretty much the same sort of logic that George Bush used to do in the past. He's basically saying, you either with me or against me. However, the main reason why people don't want to identify with that label is because you put so much weight behind it. Like, of course, naturally the word itself, anti-racist, is not, a bad word by itself, because I think most people would be technically, anti-racist, right? But the problem with this whole entire argument, this whole entire definition of his anti-racism, is that he's trying to pit people into believing in equality of outcomes rather than equality of opportunities. And that's not going to work on me. That's just simply not going to work on me.
If we eliminated the term race neutral from the American vocabulary, to recognize that all policies are either racist or anti-racist. If we eliminated terms like racially charged, they use so many now, I can't keep up with them, but I know that's one of them. If we eliminated all of those racially, whatever they call it, terms, and realized all ideas are either racist or anti-racist, then we can truly have an accounting of ourselves, of our ideas, of our policies.
Getting rid of stuff like racially charged, I don't think, help a lot, because there are some crimes that could be committed against other people. And of course, race could be a factor on why someone attacks somebody else because of their race or not their race. And so when people say racially charged, what they're saying is that they were actually motivated because of their hatred of that person, because of their race. Usually some examples of like racially charged stuff would be like, using some sort of slurs against other people because of their race and these sort of, other stuff. And so I would say racially charged is actually, helpful in that kind of discussion to distinguish between what is, what was like an attack that was based upon race and what's not an attack. Let's see. Postmodern pseudo-intellectual activism is nothing more than religious zealotry under the label anti-racism. They call any scrutiny of their words as bigotry and racism. Exactly. Let's see. All laws should be racially neutral. I definitely agree. I keep waiting for the big black sister to go, am I racist? Okay. Oh my goodness. Let's see. People who equate capitalism with white supremacists always fail to explain why. If capitalism is white supremacist, it works when any ethnicity implements it. Exactly. Let's see. What they are truly after is power. Power through infallibility. Infallibility through fear. It's kind of funny you mentioned power, because like the guy, Kennedy wants to actually have his own department of anti-racism if he actually had a chance to, get some sort of government power. And so, yeah, he does want power, and he does want to implement his ideas everywhere. And so that's what's scary about it, is that people like him is actually being taken seriously instead of being laughed at. He's getting a platform in all these sort of news organizations, and people are like, not questioning his ideas. Like, I never seen him actually debate other people who oppose his views. And I guess because they oppose their views, he probably think that they're racist by default. So
and of our country. Because at some point, we are going to have to stop denying.
let's see more comments. Are all of his points towards white Americans, or does it account for white people in general? I think, I want to be charitable and say it applies to all Americans and not just white Americans. But even if I were to take that for granted, if he's saying that any person should be like, anti-racist and that people who are not anti-racist are racist, it's kind of, destroy the whole entire logic for that redefinition of, racism. Because some people within the social justice sphere say that, of course, racism require power and prejudice. Well, if people, could be, racist and be black because they're not anti-racist, then the whole definition is rendered useless for that redefinition of racism.
That we have metastatic racism. Because if you didn't already know, it is literally killing America. It is literally killing this world. The three lethal weapons that are threatening American existence and human existence are, of course, nuclear war, climate change, and bigotry. And so I, of course, was born and raised in New York City. Anybody from New York? Okay. Anybody from Queens? Okay. I was born in Queens, New York, Jamaica, Queens, New York. I was raised the child of two parents who were in the Black Power movement, specifically the Black theology movement. They were walking around with their froze saying God is black and Jesus is black and the church needs to be an engine of liberation. And
what in the fuck? Where the fuck did... How did all this go into this whole entire speech about anti-racism? Now the whole entire, ideal, whether or not, if, oh my God. So the whole idea that Jesus is black is kind of, stupid, because basically he was like born in like, if I'm not mistaken, Bethlehem. And so that would be like in the Middle East. So how would Jesus be black? He would be like Middle Eastern if he were to actually be real. So yeah, that is so strange. So weird that he says that kind of stuff, but whatever.
And we are practicing liberation theology, that our job as a Christian is to liberate Black people. But by the time I came around, the froze got a little lower. And they had risen a little higher in the economic ladder. And like,
I haven't watched you in years, but this is hilarious. Love your work. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming on the live stream, man. I'm going to try to make these live streams quite frequently on my channel. Let's see.
like other members of the civil rights and Black Power generation, they certainly maintained, my parents did, their liberation theology. But they also, in the 1980s, like the Black middle class more broadly, like the white middle class had historically done, they had also began to imagine that they had moved into the Black middle class, and a large segment of Black people had not, because of what was right about them and what was wrong about those Black poor people. And so what emerged was this sort of dueling consciousness that there was nothing wrong with Black people, and we need to continuously challenge the racism of the Reagan era, while simultaneously these ideas that there was indeed something wrong with the Black poor, that indeed there was something wrong with these Black women having all these children, that there was something wrong with these Black men committing all these crimes. And this was part of a larger American discourse that the reason why racial inequity was persisting after civil rights was not because the civil rights movement and even the Black Power movement did not eradicate racism. Y'all know we talk about post-racial now. Well, they imagined that it was post-racial by the mid-1970s. Or some would say the day Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act, suddenly racism was eradicated. Yeah, I mean, we heard that when they say the day Obama was elected, suddenly racism no longer existed.
I'm just curious, like, who would be so incredibly naive to think that racism has been eliminated just because they have a black president? I remember when I was in high school this whole entire time during the election for Obama, and I swear to God, I'm not kidding to you guys. A lot of my colleagues in that school when I was in high school were happy that they elected Obama because he was black. And so I never once heard anybody in my real life, say that racism has, ended just because Obama, got elected as president. Maybe it's some people who actually did in fact say that. I'm not sure. But in my personal life, I never experienced such a thing. I just never ever seen such a thing. Let's see. I love your work for years when you tackle Antifa and Spanish independence. I am pleasantly surprised to see you tackle Hindi. Yeah, man, like the whole entire anti-racist stuff to me is like bullshit. It really is. Not only they're making so much money just sprouting bullshit and furthering the racial divide, but also they're being taken very seriously nowadays in my country. So I feel really sad that there's people like him who actually are being taken seriously. Let's see. But there's something wrong with anyone committing violent crimes. Exactly. Exactly. See, it's been 60 years. Things have changed a lot. Exactly. These people think life has stayed exactly the same since the 1960s. Let's see. It's a thing, but it's less of a problem. It's like they're looking at racism as some sort of weed that needs to be eliminated, but what they don't realize is that weeds always come back. Exactly, man. Exactly. Let's see. Why did I pause the stream? I don't know why.
One person walked into one office. That was powerful, but one office, and suddenly I and none of the Black or Latinx or Native people or Asian people in this room were no longer.
For every time he says Latinx, I'll get one shot or something. Too bad I don't have any kind of alcohol right here, but every single time he says Latinx, shot.
Longer subjected to racism. It just so happened that racial inequities persisted after the election of Obama, just as racial inequities persisted and even in many ways deepened for Black poor people after civil rights. And so it was imagined that the reason being was because there was something wrong with these people. There was something wrong with these Black people. And more specifically, by the 1990s, if there was ever a decade in which Black youth were seen as the fundamental American problem, it was the 1990s. And so
That is true because, believe it or not, the Democrats did call the people who are Black the super predators during that time period. And so I could see to the point that he's making that is actually true, that they were actually, really high racial tensions during the 1990s and these so-called super predators. So he's right on this.
for anyone who grew up like I did as a Black youngster in the 1990s, we were seen as the problem. From our parents' and grandparents' generations to white America, everyone was looking at us as the problem. The way we dressed, the music we listened to, the way we danced, all these ideas about something wrong with Black youth, I consumed them. I internalized them and ended up preaching them back to Black folk when I was a senior in high school. And so How to Be an Anti-Racist opens with this scene where I am participating in this Martin Luther King oratorical contest in Prince William County. By that point, we had moved from New York City to Northern Virginia. And I had won my high school competition and went on.
Question. Interesting. Did Biden introduce the crime bill? And didn't Hillary start calling them predators? Yes, that actually happened during the 90s. Yes, I would say that's true. That is actually true. It's so funny is because, like, Harris, like the vice president, is also well known for locking up black people too for drug offenses. And so we have like the worst people possible elected in our offices to tackle on race issues. Like literally we have one guy, just saying the most racist thing possible. The same guy who also voted for the Iraq War. The same guy who's trying to make everything woke in our institutions. And then, of course, the vice president locking up people for drug offenses. So, oops. Love you, bro. Love you, skeptic fucker.
On to this countywide competition and was one of the top 3 finalists. And the top 3 finalists were able to speak at MLK Day in 2000. And I used that platform, a day in which we were celebrating Black youth, because we had 3 high school orators and 3 middle school orators, all of whom were Black. And the vast majority of the people in that auditorium of 3,000 people were Black. And I used my speech to condemn Black youth, to say Black youth don't value education, which was a widely circulating racist idea about Black youth, even though there was no evidence. I used that speech to say Black youth are the most feared in society, as if it was their fault they were so feared, as if they wanted to be hunted like they were super predators. I used that speech to imagine that Black youth continue to climb the high tree of pregnancy, as it had been imagined by the previous 2 decades that the reason for the increasing percentage of Black children born into single-parent households was because single, typically teenage Black girls and women were having too many babies. But we didn't realize that the actual cause of that increasing percentage of Black children born into single-parent households was because...
Let's see. By the way, Tyler, did you hear that Reverend Jesse Jackson got arrested a few days ago for protesting under Trump? We wouldn't hear the end of it. Now crickets. Oh, no, this is the first time I heard about this, actually, so thanks for bringing it up to me. Let's see. This paid them a lot of money to show up, too. Exactly. But yeah, so far I cannot really comment on this part about the 90s stuff and the Predators, Super Predators, because all the stuff what he's saying right now is true. And so I can't necessarily disagree on something and comment on something that I actually agree on. But that's like the only kind of part so far in this speech that I've seen so far that I actually agree on. So this is...
married Black women were having less children. We didn't realize that, because we as Americans have been taught that if you have a racial inequity, if you have a racial disparity, there must be something wrong with the people on the lower end of it.
Okay, who in the fuck actually says that? Who actually says that in modern day America? Because there are probably like lots and lots of different factors in modern day America on why someone's in a certain situations. And sometimes those kind of situations could be, manageable by your own personal actions and your own personal choices. So I'm kind of curious, what person in America actually said that kind of stuff in the modern day? I'm just curious to know about some sort of citations or whatever.
And it's our job as scholars, apparently, to figure out what's wrong with those people. And so that's what I believed. I had internalized those ideas whole. And I ended up preaching them back to Black people, the majority of whom applauded for me. And so I opened the text with that story, not only to sort of demonstrate just how deeply I had internalized anti-Black racist ideas, but just how deeply many other Black folk had internalized anti-Black racist ideas, and just how deeply internalized racism has actually always been the real Black on Black crime.
What the fuck? So, Black on Black crime. Let me hear this correctly, right? Is he really saying that Black on Black crime happens because of internalized racism? Did he really say that? I must be mishearing or something. I don't want to, mishear it, but from what I'm gathering so far, he's saying that Black on Black crime happens because of internalized racism. What? Okay.
And some would say, well, Black people, I mean, yes, those ideas are not true. Yes, those are not.
Okay, because I thought I was going crazy. Oh, yes, he did. Okay, I thought so. Because this whole entire idea that, people are, doing Black on Black crime because it's internalized racism. Well, like, what? I think he's saying that's what white people think. Okay, I hope so. At least I hope so. Okay. Or he's just high. True. That is true.
Ideas Black people should be saying about Black people, but I wouldn't classify those as racist ideas because Black people apparently have no power. So apparently Black people are slaves. Because the only group of people who don't have any power are slaves who don't resist. And I'm not saying enslaved people, because these are people who have literally been enslaved by violence and terror and are constantly resisting, and that's why they need to be enslaved by violence and terror. I'm talking about people who are confined and oppressed and doing nothing in the face of that, not resisting, not recognizing that they have the power to resist. And every single human being
Oh, I was mute this whole entire time. Oh, no. Okay. I'm sorry for muting my microphone, guys. But sorry. It was the sound. Okay, what I was saying, right, is that I could not believe that, of course, like, he would say, like, that Black people are, like, oppressed or whatever, or like the slave. And so the main reason why I'm, like, making all that kind of faces right now is because I don't think Black people are necessarily oppressed, because people could, go to whatever, get a job at whatever, get positions at whatever. And so if Black people are enslaved, as he says it, then why there are so many opportunities for people to do whatever in this country? I just don't understand this reasoning. Yeah, yes. Oh my god, I'm kind of like a boomer. Yes, I'm acting like a boomer in this sort of stream. Sorry, guys.
in this world, in this country, in this city, has the power to resist. But some Americans don't resist. They don't resist racist power and policy. In the face of all of these racial inequities, from police violence to health disparities to educational disparities to wealth disparities, they look at all these disparities and see normality and see nothing wrong. And if anything, they say the cause of those disparities are the inferiorities of those racial groups. So
again, who the fuck is actually saying that? Can anybody in the comment section down below point to me to a single person who said the main reason why there are disparities is because, they are black or something? Like, who actually says this kind of stuff? Again, who actually says this sort of, nonsense, really? Yeah, my internalized white racism muted to sound. Exactly, man. Exactly. Let's see. The problem with our opportunities is that you have to take the initiative to take them. If you don't try and figure out what works, you don't see them. Exactly. Exactly. Most people have tons of opportunities in America. They just don't realize what they have and how they get it. Exactly, man. Exactly. Okay, yeah, he just did. Yeah, he's like the only person who basically stated that, of course, that apparently, black people cannot make it, and of course, because they're black or something. It's so weird.
what they do is they don't use their power to resist because they've internalized racist ideas. That has always been the net effect of racist ideas on the human mind. It causes people to say, yeah, black people should be 40% of the incarcerated population in this country, even though we make up only 13%.
What? Who the fuck actually says that other than you again? Again, we can have a discussion on why there's like so much people in prison, right? Now, the main reason why, of course, one factor could be, of course, the social economic factor. It could be, of course, if you go into a world of crime, obviously you're gonna go in jail and prison. And sadly enough, if you look at the statistics, right, you'll find out that, of course, unfortunately, that many black people commit the most crimes in this country. And it's a sad reality. Whether it's people being arrested for racist reasons or not is a whole separate, discussion. But could it be that some of these people who go to crime, who go to jail, who go to prison, could it just be because they committed a crime and they're also serving their time? It's not necessarily because of, racism. It could be for some people, sure. But what about these other people who are actually, go to jail because of actual crimes that they committed? That's my question.
We should be that because our neighborhoods are more dangerous. Black people are more dangerous. Black people are more violent.
Well, the thing about it is, if you look again at the statistics, places like Chicago are, in fact, really, really dangerous, insanely dangerous. And so, yeah, there's a lot of deaths of black people in places like Chicago. So, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, some places are dangerous. It's not because they're black, it's just because there's just so much crime that's being committed.
When you put Latinx and black people together, they make up about 2/3 of the incarcerated population, which is about twice their makeup in the general population. And white people make up about a third, which is essentially 1/2 of their population in this country. So then people understand that, yeah, black and Latinx people are dangerous animals. So they should be enslaved.
Okay, again, please, examples. Who actually says that they're animals? Oh my god. I don't the only person that I know that's saying this sort of stuff is you, man. And also, you just said the most forbidden word right now. How could you call Latinos that way? How could you?
That they should be incarcerated at that clip. And apparently white people, including white people with AK-47s, are safe. Those racist ideas cause us to look at this problem and not see anything wrong with it. Continuously drive by poor Black and Latinx neighborhoods and not see anything wrong with that. See that the cause of that poverty.
Oh yeah, it's time for like another shot for Latinx. It's like the 4th time this whole entire stream so far. So that'd be like 4 shots of, whatever drink you have. Let's see. The south side of Chicago has the largest amounts of crime. Downtown Chicago is less crime.
The cause of those lack of resources and opportunities is not policies. It's not racism. There's something wrong with the people. They don't want to save. They don't want to work hard. They prefer welfare.
Now, this whole entire comment about the guns thing, right? Of course, you have the Second Amendment. And so I guess, for example, of like, white people with AK-47s, the fuck? It sounds crazy to me. But anyway, his example about, white people with AK-47s, like, I'm kind of curious. Do they use those AK-47s to commit? I mean, I'm sure that some do, yes, to commit crime, but I guess not a significant number to put a lot of them in jail. So, weird example. Do you have any sort of political alignment? No, I don't. I'm politically homeless right now. So I'm not a Democrat, I'm not Republican. I'm just like registered independent. But you want to ask me my views about stuff like, universal health care, I'm in favor of that. I'm also like in favor of, like the $15 minimum wage stuff. I'm of course in favor of that. All my thoughts about abortion, of course, I consider myself like, I guess maybe like in the pro choice kind of side of things, but reluctantly, of course, because there's like crazies in the pro choice side and stuff. Now, this whole entire, stuff like my other thoughts about things like, I'm not sure. I can't think about anything right now, but like, free speech, obviously, I'm in favor of free speech. Second Amendment, duh. So, yeah, my whole entire, I guess, political alignment, I don't have any sort of political alignment at all. So, in the past, I used to say I'm like a classical liberal type of person, but like nowadays, I just realized that, you cannot necessarily assign yourself to one group of people. Because if you assign yourself to one group of people, people have presumptions of you. And so honestly, of course, I don't want people to, assign some sort of, judgment on me because I would to, assign myself to a political group. I just call myself, just independent because I'm like independent of any sort of parties. Let's see, the only person who can think of who could say this crap is racist, Chad, and nobody like racist Chad and Uncle Ruckus. Exactly. Exactly. Have you bought the complete Bruce Lee Criterion Collection Blu-rays? No, I haven't actually. No, the main reason why I have not bought those Blu-rays was because I actually have like copies of those movies from Shout Factory. Because like a while back, Shout Factory just released like some sort of Blu-ray collection that was in some sort of giant book, and so I got the films that way. And so I'm not gonna double dip for the Criterion Collection for those movies, but I do in fact enjoy like those Bruce Lee movies. I love kung fu movies in general. Let's see, the same problems exist in white communities where there's ideas aren't valued. A stable and happily family unit is the biggest predator of success. Exactly, man. Exactly.
Something wrong with the people. Those are racist ideas talking in our minds, causing us.
What is my favorite Bruce Lee movie? My favorite Bruce Lee movie is probably like, Fist of Fury. But my second favorite is Enter the Dragon. It's kind of funny because Enter the Dragon is like, my first ever Bruce Lee movie. And I guess my third favorite of his movies that I've seen, it has to be like, what was it called? Fist of Fury. Yeah, I already said Fist of Fury. Sorry. So I'm sorry. I forgot the title of it. The Big Boss. That's what it is. So number one is, of course, like Fist of Fury. Number two, Enter the Dragon. And number three, The Big Boss.
To not resist racism. to imagine that racism, or I should say more so racial disparities, should exist. And so fundamentally, anyone, any person who is thinking that the problem is Black people.
Yeah, the thing about the Big Boss, severely underrated Bruce Lee movie is not as well known. Exactly, man. Because like whenever I watch like, Bruce Lee movies, like people always say Enter the Dragon or Fist of Fury or, Way of the Dragon. But I think, the Big Boss is really unique in a sense that is like, super gory. Like there was this one deleted scene where Bruce Lee has some sort of, saw, and he has like some sort of, hit to the head with a saw. Apparently, it was censored by like the Hong Kong censors back when it came out. Apparently, there was like some people who actually saw that scene intact at the cinemas back then. But it's kind of sad that it's not existing in any sort of copy that we have today. But the whole movie is like super bloody and super gory. Like it's really really fun to watch. I like it a lot.
That the problem is Latinx people, that the problem is Asian or Native people, even the problem that is white people. Anyone who's thinking that the problem is a racial group and their cultural or behavioral inferiorities, and not recognizing that the problem is racist power and policy, is being racist. And an anti-racist, obviously, is looking out at our society and saying, you know what? There are ethnic differences. There are cultural differences coming out of those ethnic differences.
Oh no, was I muted again? Oh my god, no 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 no. Okay, it's much better now. Okay, much better. Much better. Okay, my comment, let me go back to that comment again. Okay. The fact that you know the history of that movie makes me happy. Okay, what I was saying this whole entire time, right, was that what's interesting about like the Big Boss and also like Fist of Fury was that Bruce Lee had like some sort of conflict with the director, right? And so the main reason why he films had his own production company, right, was because of those sort of interactions with the two people, right? So with his production company, he produced like Enter the Dragon. He produced like some footage of like Game of Death, which is existing today. And by the way, the final product was terrible, but the 45 30-minute cut is better with the original footage. And he also produced, yeah, let's see, Way of the Dragon with that. So yeah, he has his own production company after that kind of conflict with the director for that movie.
I'm going to level that difference. I'm not going to judge that difference from my own cultural standard. But all of those racialized groups are equals. There's nothing wrong with Black women. There's nothing wrong with the Native poor. There's nothing wrong with Asian professors. There's nothing wrong with any racialized group. And if there's a disparity between racial groups, it must be because of racist power and policy. And therefore, an anti-racist, instead of looking and trying to figure out what is wrong with people, an anti-racist is trying to figure out what is wrong with policy.
Okay, please name me a single racist policy that's been going on right now. I'm waiting for the answer, please. I'm still waiting and waiting for that answer. Like every single time these sort of anti-racists say that there's like a racist system, I'm trying to figure out where is this racist system that they're talking about. It's like, what? What? It's like, there's nothing wrong with any racialized group except white people. Exactly. Exactly. People have different interests. Exactly. Right. So because there are, certain people who have certain positions and not, it's because of their own personal decisions. And so it's not only policy that needs to be changed, it's certain cultural ideas. Exactly. Exactly.
But not just what's wrong with policy, what's wrong with those individuals who have the power to institute and shape policy?
I feel as though this person is just talking like he's like living in the 1960s. Like if he was like living in the 60s and the 50s, he might have a point that there are some people that were in power that influenced the policies that were racist. But in 21st century America, what exactly is he like what's the system that he's talking about? Maybe I'm just going crazy or something. I just don't see the sort of system that he's talking about. I just what is he talking about? Chinese are a majority in China and they dominate. Japanese dominate in Japan. Black people dominate in Nigeria. White people in USA. Only the white case is bad. Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird, man.
Policymakers. So when I talk in How to Be an Anti-Racist, I oftentimes in the book use the term racist power. And when I talk about racist power, I am fundamentally talking about people who are in positions of power in which they can institute, shape, eliminate policies. And they use that policy, I should say, they use that position of power to institute, defend, and shape policies that lead to racial inequity, that lead to racial injustices. That is racist power. And I contrast that with anti-racist power. And anti-racist power is not just those anti-racists who historically, as a result of social movements, who historically, as a result of their own political campaigns, have been able to seize positions of power and have used those positions of power to deliver policies that reduce inequities, that create equity. Not just those anti-racist policymakers, but anti-racist power is the power of the people. The power of the people to resist. The power of the people to resist racist policies. The power of the people to resist racist policymakers. And I just get so upset when we imagine that only people like Donald Trump have power. When we imagine that only white people have power. When we imagine that white people and Donald Trump are all powerful. When we recognize that to say anyone or any group of people are all powerful is essentially to call them gods. And so
Oh, this whole entire irony, really. So, if he actually get all the power, would that mean that he's also his own god? Really? Oh my god, this is really weird. Black Panther rhetoric. If you peel away all the niches, he's actually advocating the toppling of an existing regime of power. Exactly. Exactly. So, if he were to, try to replace everything with anti-racist stuff, he'd call himself a god right now. So, let's see. Slavery was banned in the Midwest when it was formed in the 19th century. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, summon God in bed.
we're imagining that these people are gods. And for those of you who are religious, you just can't beat God, right? I mean, there's just no way you're going to beat God. So you just might as well just stop and let God continue to have his or her way. And so then it breeds this.
You know what's so sad about all of this? Like, they're saying, like, Trump is like God, he's unquestionable, whatever. But, like, Donald Trump, unironically, has done more things for the black community than Joe Biden. It's so funny because basically he actually employs black employers. He was actually talking to rappers at some point about the injustices for, like, police brutality or whatever. So Donald Trump has done more things to help black people than this supposed anti-racist expert. That's sad, really. That's actually really sad when you really think about it.
Pessimism. It breeds this notion that racism is fundamentally permanent. It breeds this idea that racism is natural to humankind. Yes, everywhere we look, there's racial disparities. Everywhere we look, there's racist policies. Everywhere we listen, we hear racist ideas. But that doesn't mean.
He sounds so much like Anita Sarkeesian, really. Like, instead of everything is sexist, it's like everything is racist. It's like the exact same sort of words, but with racism in it. The more I just listen to this, it's like the more.
Mean that racism is natural and even normal. It's normal because it's been made normal. Racism is only roughly 600 years old.
Did this motherfucker just say that racism is only like 600 years old? Hold on. Let me listen to that again. Let me listen to that whole entire comment yet again.
When we imagine that only white people have power, when we imagine that white people and Donald Trump are all powerful, when we recognize that to say anyone or any group of people are all powerful is essentially to call them gods. And so we're imagining that these people are gods. And for those of you who are religious, you just can't beat God, right? I mean, there's just no way you're going to beat God. So you just might as well just stop and let God continue to have his or her way. And so then it breeds this pessimism. It breeds this notion that racism is fundamentally permanent. It breeds this idea that racism is natural to humankind. Yes, everywhere we look, there's racial disparities. Everywhere we look, there's racist policies. Everywhere we listen, we hear racist ideas. But that doesn't mean that racism is natural and even normal. It's normal because it's been made normal. Racism is only roughly 600 years old.
Yeah, he actually did in fact say that it was 600 years old. I was just double checking that he actually said that. Like, that is like the stupidest thing I ever heard, really. Only 600 years old. It probably existed since the dawn of humanity, man. Sure, it's true that we did not have a word back then to say, describe the actions that other people did, but the actions of racism probably predates the word. It's the same thing for, like, the argument, like, for rape. Even though the word rape probably did not exist back then, I'm pretty sure there were people that raped each other. Oh my god. So, yeah. Let's see. He said it was like a reference 600 years ago since there was no such concept of it existed back then. Yeah. That's crazy. This guy sounds like a spokesperson for, like, the CCP. Exactly, man. Exactly. Oh,
Humans have lived a long time before we started imagining that the people who cover Africa are all of those diverse ethnic groups are one race, that the people, all those diverse peoples in Europe are one race. Humans lived a very long time before we imagined these continental races. And we imagined that those continental races, that certain ones were superior and inferior. When we sort of started connecting those continental races to behavioral traits, when we started imagining, I should say, that, you know what, those African peoples can be enslaved, and we Portuguese slave traders who initiated the transatlantic slave trade, we can make a ton of money off these people. But we have to create a justification for why we're exclusively slave trading African people in the mid 1400s. Oh, because they're inferior, because they're beastly, because we're actually trying to civilize them. And these racist ideas became the justification for these racist policies. These racist policies that were instituted out of self-interest. This really is a new phenomenon, as much as it's old and widespread. And so I think it's critical for us to be very, very specific when we talk about racism. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to do with my work, is to add a layer of specificity specifically to how we describe racism. The words we use to describe the multi-layered phenomena that is racism. And what I mean by that is, you know, the way that I like to sort of talk about this issue called racism is you have racist power, you have racist policies, you have racist ideas, and you have racial inequities. And understanding the relationship between all of those is really understanding the way racism operates. And so I actually define racism as a powerful collection of racist policies that lead to racial inequity and are substantiated by racist ideas. And I define a racist individual as someone who is expressing a racist idea or supporting a racist policy with their actions or even inaction. And the reason why someone expressing a racist idea in that moment is being racist is because in that moment they're thinking the problem is a group of people as opposed to policy. And obviously
It's just like the more and more he talks, the more it makes little sense. Let's see. Anti-racism used to be about treating everyone the same. Now equal treatment is considered discrimination. You know what's so sad about this, really? I was just chatting with one of my, brothers, and he basically told me that they had to lower standards for teaching standards for kids. So what happens right now is that he told me that, for stuff like tests or whatever, they had to actually grade the black kid more because he's black and actually deduce points because the student's white. They're actually teaching that right now in studies right now. So I can actually tell you from firsthand experience that is actually being true right now. So they actually are trying to literally deduce points because someone's a certain race or not. It's kind of sad, really. It's really sad. Let's see. Racism is a collection of racist policy. That's his definition of racism. I mean, I guess that's like, a definition of systemic racism or institutionalized racism. But what he considers to be racist is quite questionable, though. It's quite questionable. You cannot have racist policy without racist people. So how does that make any sense? Yeah, exactly.
reason why someone who is supporting a racist policy is being racist is because their action is causing racial inequity. And the reason why someone who is doing nothing in the face of racist policy that is pretty much the status quo in this country is because they are allowing that racist policy to persist. They are allowing that racial inequity to pass on to another generation. When we look at the enslavement era, what slaveholders wanted from non-slave.
By the way, guys, for these live streams, you guys are always welcome to come in if you guys want the link. So tell me in the comments down below if you want to join and, comment with me. So I could probably, need some other person to actually bring some sort of commentary during this whole entire speech. That'd be fun. Oh.
Slaveholders, from Northerners, in the face of slavery, was to do one thing: nothing. That's what they wanted. They wanted you to do nothing. What did Jim Crow segregationists want? They wanted people to do nothing. What did people who benefit from mass incarceration, because they're able to make seemingly blue states into swing states and swing states into red states?
Okay, shoot me a link. All right, give me 1 second to find our prints. I'll give you the link. All right. All right, I'll go. Let's see. 1 minute. I'm gonna give him the link, and so he could probably chat with me. All right. All right. All right. So check your Twitter account right now, and you can come to the live stream right now. All right.
They want us to do nothing. The purpose of racist ideas is to get people to do nothing. And so when you do nothing, like someone who does nothing on election day, it's literally having a political impact. And that impact is the persistence of racism. And so there's no sideline to this struggle. There's no viewing box to this struggle. We are all in this struggle. What are we doing? Are we doing nothing or doing something that's allowing racial inequity to persist, allowing racist policies to persist? Is that what we're doing? Or are we being an anti-racist? Define an anti-racist as someone who is expressing an anti-racist idea or supporting an anti-racist policy with the
Yeah. Okay. Oh, hello. Hello? I don't think your mic is on right now. But anyway, like his point in the video, he was saying like, he defines like a person's like anti-racist as X, Y, and Z. Well, it's kind of funny because I read this book, and basically the book said like you have to be anti-capitalist, anti-meritocracy, equality of outcomes. I mean, equality of opportunities, sorry. So yeah, I kind of know what an anti-racist is, but wow, just crazy. Hey man. Find a print, can you hear me? Well, okay, so he's gonna come back in the stream, I guess, and just reset his microphone, but let's continue on.
Their actions. Someone who is stating that there's nothing wrong with any of the racial groups. Someone who is recognizing the equality of difference. Someone who is pushing back against misleading statistics, against faulty premises that make some sort of case that there's something genetically, culturally, or even behaviorally wrong with a particular racial group. Someone who's saying, no, we're not just created equal, we are equal. That's being an anti-racist. That's expressing anti-racist ideas, and obviously someone who's supporting anti-racist policies that are leading to racial inequity. And when I say support, you have some people who have a ton of money, but they don't have much time. And they recognize that. And so they literally financially support institutes like the Haas, all sorts of organizations that are actually identifying and challenging racist policies. You have people who don't have a lot of money, but they have time. And so they dedicate their time, they volunteer for organizations. And then, of course, unfortunately, you have a lot of people who ain't got no time and no money. And that's a little bit more complex. But one thing I wanted to sort of say is that these two terms.
Let's see. Let me look at the comment right here. Let's see. The point of racism was to get rid of the people you think are ruining and bringing bad ideas into your community. Not what he just said. Exactly. Like every single time he makes a point, like it doesn't make much sense. Like I'm still wondering, like what does he consider to be racist other than policy? It's so strange to me. Okay, StreamYard wouldn't cooperate with my audio interference. Sorry, dude. No problem, man. No problem. But like next time I do like a live stream, like I'll be sure to invite people to come in and we could just chat and react to the videos and whatever. I'm still kind of new to this whole entire streaming stuff, so.
Terms, racist and anti-racist. I said someone who is. These are not fixed categories. These are not tattoos. These are not identities. This is not who a person is. These are descriptive terms. Describing when a person is saying a racist idea, they're being racist. Describing when a person is saying an anti-racist idea, they're being anti-racist. Describing when a person is supporting a racist policy, they're being racist. Describing when in the very next moment, they're supporting an anti-racist policy. So they're being anti-racist. One of the things, I think, one of the greatest misnomers about the term.
You heard it right here, folks. Like basically, if you don't support anti-racist policy, then you're a racist by definition by Candy. How lovely. How lovely, like such a word like that could just be such misused nowadays. Like in the past, like of course, racism actually meant something when you actually use it against something that was actually, really bad and prejudiced against somebody just because of their whole entire race. But here we have Kenny right here, openly saying out loud that if you actually don't support anti-racist policy, you are just a racist piece of shit.
Term racist is that it is a pejorative term. It is literally an attack term. It is something that is in one's bones. It's in one's heart. That only bad people can be racist, that only people who wear hoods can be racist, that only people in the Ku Klux Klan can be racist. No. There were abolitionists who were racist. There were civil rights activists who were racist. There were people shouting Black Lives Matter who didn't really believe all Black Lives Matter. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right? They just believe black men matter, but they didn't believe black women matter. Or they believe black heterosexuals matter, but didn't believe black gays and lesbians matter. Or they believe black elites matter, but didn't believe black poor people matter.
What's funny about all of this is like he's actually right for the wrong reasons. Because if they really actually care about black lives, then of course a whole entire woman wouldn't buy like a house, like a mansion, all these sort of mansions across the whole entire country. So yeah. Let's see, I gotta bounce, but good stream, man. Thanks, man, for coming on and talking in the chat. Let's see, he got it right there that there were some abolitionists who were racist. True, that is actually true. But it's what's so sad about all of this, again, he's like right for the wrong reasons. Like there are people in the Black Lives Matter movement who are racist and don't necessarily care about black lives. So I actually agree with that point.
Or they believe black cisgendered people matter, but not black transgender women. And so it doesn't matter your identity. It doesn't matter your political affiliation. It doesn't matter whether you marched with King. I get that a lot. I'm sorry. All that matters is what you're doing in each moment. And the beauty about that is it then allows people, it allows us to admit, to confess, to say, you know what? Yes, in that moment, I did fearful when that young black male was passing me by in the street. Yes, in that moment, I recognized that that fear was sourced in racist ideas. I recognized that that black male was trying to get home just like me. I recognized that I was being racist in that moment. And that is the distinction between a racist and an anti-racist. A racist, no matter what is said about them, no matter how they're charged with being racist, they're always going to deny it. While an anti-racist will take these definitions of a racist idea, of a racist policy, and of a racist, and apply their behavior to it. And say, you know what? I was being a racist.
Okay, so if the non-racists don't necessarily admit that they actually are being racist, and that the anti-racist admits to being racist, what is the fucking difference between the two words then? By this whole entire logic here. Like, what is the difference between a racist and an anti-racist? Oh my god, see, or he could be like sketchy and you vote him no matter what his race. Exactly. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like his race. Like you said in the comments below, it could be because he was actually being sketchy. Let's see, the upside of being vague of what his race is that the cause has no end. If instead he was named a specific policy or law, then the movement and money would end once the goal is reached. Exactly. Exactly, man.
I was, but I'm going to change. That's the distinction. And we have the capacity to change. We have the capacity to change ourselves. We have the capacity to change this country. Now, I should say 99% of us have the capacity to change. I don't know about a certain character I live near. But finally, and I'll say in closing, that the reason why I emphasize the capacity to change, the capacity that we have to change as individuals, the capacity we have to change in terms of policies, in terms of the very underpinnings and structures and systems and you know, of this country, of this world, is because we have to believe that change is possible in order to bring it about. We have to. We have to believe that. And we have to believe that even though this country has metastatic racism, and even though those tumors of racial inequity have literally spread to every part of the body politic, and that we're likely to die, that the overwhelming odds state that we will die, and that it's going to be a painful death. Despite those odds, we still have to believe that we can heal from racism. We still have to believe that. And, you know, I should say that, you know, I'm speaking from experience. You know, last year, as some of you may know, you know, I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic colon cancer.
Honestly, I don't think this speech is going anywhere, so I'm going to stop watching the video. But I'm going to switch the videos around to react to different stuff. Because honestly, I'm kind of sick and tired of watching this video. Because I have like at least other stuff to be, you know, watched. We spent like a good hour and 29 minutes in this whole entire video. So let's switch the videos around for something even more crazy. So, onwards. Let's go to this Twitter page right here. It's loading up right now. Might take a while to load up. So here we go with critical race theory yet again in the state of Florida. Let me try to reload this. Hold on. How come it's not even trying to reload right here? I just love how technical problems can actually happen, so let me try to reload it. Okay, please load. Please load. Okay, there it is. So let's watch this video right here, and I'll give my reaction.
Oh, yes. Well, as many of you know, I actually do teach in a state where the teaching of critical race theory has been banned. And of course, I would never do anything to oppose Supreme Leader DeSantis. Yeah, just not in my nature to do that sort of thing. But if I were, which I'm not, if I were, I would make sure that there were lots of works by people of color in the curriculum that I was teaching. I would make sure that we were having conversations about the situations those people of color find themselves in and how things ended up that way. And I would make sure that we would acknowledge that things aren't happening one person at a time, but there is, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm still trying to, understand where is this systemic racism coming from? And more so to the point, it's kind of sad. Like all these sort of TikTok videos that actually, of course, have these sort of teachers just openly saying out loud that they want to have critical race theory in their schools. And all these people saying that there is no such evidence of teachers wanting to have critical race theory in school, when you can literally see their TikToks and like on the internet. So it's so funny, like they keep on trying to deny that, really. So let's see another TikTok. 1 minute. I had to copy like a link to see another one. Hold on. Okay, so this one, of course, is different. It's not from the same person. No, this one is like crazy. Like this one actually advocates for like, segregation. So let's see that one.
Or if you say it out loud.
Integration was not the answer. Quite frankly, I think integration was one of the worst things to happen to the Black community, just being real. Because it wasn't even true integration, it was just desegregation. Wasn't the same thing. Integration should have been dismantling both the Black and white structures and creating a new structure, integrating two different things into one. Instead, what really happened was they just took down the whites only signs and just put us in their spaces. Not the same thing. And quite frankly, racism and violence aside, segregation didn't sound that bad. Because the idea of an all-Black school, all-Black pool, all-Black movie theater, all-Black restaurants, that doesn't sound bad to me. I truly believe the fight was more so for equality of resources, but I don't think we was trying to sit with y'all to sing Kumbaya, but that's just me.
Yeah, that guy is like, fuck, like that woman is crazy, man. Like, this whole argument about segregation is like, no different than, of course, what the alt-right wanted. Or like these sort of, white supremacists wanted was like, segregation between the races. Like her argument is like no different than that, man. Oh, nice neck beard. Thanks, man. Thank you. It's been like, ever since I started growing out my beard, just like, started to go to my neck right here. Crazy, man. All right, let's see two more videos, and then I'm gonna probably, stop this live stream. Now the last video, I'm probably gonna do like a live translation because it's in Spanish, but like I'm gonna help out with that translation. So
it turns into outright panic. I don't know about you, but I'm not a very teachable person when I'm panicking. We have to calm down. Robin DiAngelo makes a really striking point in White Fragility about how we equate the concept of racism with being intentionally hateful people. That's a dastardly defense mechanism of white supremacy, and it's just not true. If I could beam one thing into the minds of every American, it's this: you can be a kind, gentle, intelligent, generous person and still believe the lies you've been told, act as if they're true, and benefit from the culture that this collective delusion has created. If that stirs up some big feelings for you, you're not alone. Let's talk about managing those feelings.
I swear to God, like, woke TikTok is probably like the worst kind of TikTok. You know, prior like to the other day, I never understood I understood like TikTok was like for like uppity stuff, right? But I never knew there was like a side of TikTok that was like super woke. But why I'm surprised about that because like it seems like like everywhere nowadays. So this video is like it's in Spanish, but I'm gonna translate it to you guys while it plays. But yeah, this whole entire video is in Spanish. It actually comes from Spain. And I'm gonna translate it. Okay, the first thing is like the obvious, like right here it says like the most racist the most racist announcements on like TV, right?
To discover and compare the smartest credit cards.
Oh my god, oh god. I hate those freaking ads. Like every single time there's like some sort of ad or whatever is like, I feel as though that freaking I'm giving them money even though I don't want to have it like, money. Hey, I see all TikTok is trash, man. Oh god, man. Spain is the cringe pole of his like itself. Yes, man. Exactly, Joe. What's up, Joe? And by the way, guys, for those who don't know, like Joe, he is from Venezuela, and he also helped with some of my videos that needed like the Spanish translations for the subtitles. So, hey, Joe, what's up? So, without further hesitation, of course, like I'm gonna translate the video, stop and pause, and then of course, like we're gonna react to the video at the same time. I'm not sure how this is gonna work out, but yeah.
¿Todo sirve para vender? Está claro que no, pero lo que sí hemos visto es que los estereotipos raciales se han usado, y mucho, por empresas de todo el mundo para vender sus productos y servicios.
Okay, basically, more or less to, try to, summarize what he's saying. Like, basically, like, like a lot of businesses and like a lot of companies, they tend to just use like, racism to sell their services and to also sell their own products. So, yeah. Let's see some examples, man.
Y lo peor es que esto se ha normalizado, con algunas campañas tan racistas.
And apparently the worst thing about it is like it's so normalized that there's like so many like campaigns that are just so racist. Yeah.
Que cuesta creer que llegaran a ver la luz. Repasamos los anuncios de televisión más racistas de la historia.
So we're gonna see like the most racist like TV announcements on like television in history. So yeah, let's see the announcements, man. Yeah.
Asociar la piel negra a la suciedad es algo que las empresas de limpieza no iban a dejar escapar para vender.
So basically, like, dark skin is like shown as like something that it needs to be cleaned up, right? And that does not, go away from like the products that they're trying to, sell.
Sus productos. Es lo que ocurrió con este detergente en un anuncio en China.
Okay, so basically this example that he's showing up right now is like, some sort of, detergent commercial that's happened in China. So let's see the detergent commercial. Oh my god. Oh my god, that's like, terrible commercial actually. That's legitimately actually is racist. Oh my god, that is actually a good example of like, a racist commercial. I actually agree with that actually.
Pero también está el caso contrario, porque qué mejor forma de vender un detergente para ropa a color que transformando a un blanco en un negro. Y si ya le pones música rap de fondo, mucho mejor.
Okay, so apparently they're doing like the opposite sort of commercial where they turn like the white guy into a black guy. let's see this one actually. Oh my.
You looking beans and bills, belly button showing, got some sex appeal.
Oh my! They turned a white guy to a black guy. Oh man, yeah. Let's see. Is racist due to music choice properly? Maybe, but like still, like that's funny though.
Aspecto magrebí, un palestino, barba. La imagen del terrorista yihadista que popularizaron Osama Bin Laden y los suyos fue utilizada por Volkswagen para demostrar que su coche.
So basically, like Volkswagen is like, you know, they're using some sort of like stereotypes for like Muslims to, you know, show in their car, and he's gonna show us like the example of like, you know, that commercial.
Era prueba de bombas. Una bebida.
You know, that car commercial with Volkswagen, I think, is actually, you know, I would say that's like, you know, more bigoted than racist, because it kind of implies that it's actually like Muslims are actually a race, but Muslims are not necessarily like, you know, a race. So I would say it's like stereotypical, you know, maybe bigoted, but like, you know, racist though. I'm not sure about, you know, if it's like racist, dude. It's like really bad, but I don't think it's racist. Oh man.
Bebida light lleva menos azúcar o alcohol, pero si hablamos de pieles, las light son las pieles más claras.
Okay, so basically he thinks like a beer commercial that's like a beer light is actually evidence of racism, because like, you know, light refers to a skin color. I'm not even joking. This is what he's saying right now. So let's see the example.
Esta polisemia es la utilizada por Heineken para producir un anuncio con el lema.
This is actually like some sort of, you know, like Heineken commercial that's actually being produced that has like that light beer.
Lo claro es mejor, y que tuvo que retirar nada más publicarlo.
Like, how is this like an example of racism though? Like, light beer is supposed to be like, you know, like a lighter form of beer. It's not referring to a skin color. Like, what is he talking about when he says that having a light beer is racist? I'm just mind blown by that. Let's see. It's terrible for making light of the situation of the bomb. Yeah, I agree, man. I actually agree, dude. I literally agree, man. That the bomb commercial was like, you know, terrible, but like, really, really terrible.
Yo soy aquel negrito del África.
Sí, a todas las personas negras nos ha encantado esta canción. Colacao popularizó en sus anuncios esta canción que relaciona a los negros y el cultivo del cacao.
Cola Cacao has this sort of song apparently that's like, you know, racist to him, because it has to do with like, you know, black people and the cacao stuff. So yeah, let's see it.
típico de la esclavitud y que incluso en otro anuncio llegaron a cantar los futbolistas de Nilsson, Roberto Carlos y Rivaldo.
Soy aquele negrito de la África tropical que cultiva no cantaba la canción de Polacal.
Yeah, I don't see how the song is actually racist. I don't really see that per se, but again, I don't have no idea why it's racist.
Ahora esa relación se ha eliminado, pero a los negros se siguen usando como sinónimo del color del producto, como aquí, donde la bebida es la piel negra y su pelo afro largo, la espuma.
Llega el nuevo Colacao Shake para agitar tu mundo.
So basically, there's like a commercial for a shake where basically like there's like this black guy with the bush, and so apparently it's racist because he had the black guy. So yeah.
Tómalo caliente o frío. Colacao Shake, también sin lactosa.
Yeah, you know, I don't necessarily see it as racist though. This whole entire like Colacao shake thing is not racist. I don't see how it's racist. It's more funny to me than it's racist. Like almost all these examples, like except for the first two examples that I've seen so far, like the other examples to me are not that racist, honestly.
¿Os imagináis que andando por la calle me convierto en una chocolatina y una mano blanca gigante se me come? Esa idea...
Like basically it's saying like, do you imagine like, you know, you were turned to some sort of chocolate thing and then the hand tries to grab you? It's like, okay. Now this one he's gonna talk about is like basically the whole entire candy stuff. So in the United States we have this candy called like goobers, which is like chocolate covered peanuts. And so he's gonna talk about like a similar equivalent about like that kind of stuff in Spain with the Congo people, basically.
Uso Conguitos, una marca que siempre ha unido la imagen estereotipada del negro al chocolate.
So basically there's like a chocolate like covered peanuts called congritos. This is like little people from the Congos. And so it's basically like he's using this as an example as racism. So let's see how bad it is really, I guess, in the eyes for America. So
Son de rechupete.
Si no tienes...
You know, this sort of example, I think, you know, there's like a lot of different kinds of mascots that they use sort of like those kind of stereotypes all the time. Like if you look at like Lucky Charms, for example, they are based upon the stereotype of like Irish people, right? And there's also like these sort of stereotypes I see, like, you know, that butter, I forgot the name of that butter company, but it has like some sort of like Native American for the butter. And there was also like, you know, I guess like the whole maple syrup stuff controversy, or like the cream of wheat stuff. So I guess like in a sense, like there's always going to be mascots that's going to be based upon stereotypes. I don't think necessarily like the Congo people kind of chocolate covered candy is like, you know, one example. So is it racist? I think it's like not necessarily racist per se. I think it's just stereotypical, but like racist, no. I don't think so.
Suerte en el amor, prueba aclarándote la piel. Es lo que dice este anuncio de Pond's, publicado en India y cuyo mensaje no da lugar a dudas. A piel más clara, más éxito en el amor.
New Pond's White Beauty gives you a radiant.
Okay, this commercial right here is like some sort of Indian commercial that whitens like people's skin, and it's supposed to be a form like as examples racism. So let's see.
Pinkish white glow, pale white or pinkish white, you choose.
Bueno, como sabéis,
I think it's actually, kind of colorist, kind of racist in a sense, because sometimes there's like different cultures that do in fact embrace having some sort of white skin more, and see black people, I guess, who are browner as lesser. So that's like an example of a colorism to me. So I would actually, agree that's actually pretty, bad, I guess. But just selling some sort of cream or whatever, I don't think is necessarily like, racist per se. But let's see, like, is there any other examples that he has right here? Okay, there's like an example from KFC where basically, I guess there was some sort of commercial in Australia where they actually have some sort of chicken. So let's see it.
Sus estereotipos racistas.
Need a tip when you're stuck in an awkward situation? Too easy.
¿Y qué
Is that racist? I mean, I guess if it's second place in Africa, I don't necessarily think it's racist per se. Like, people of any kind like fried chicken. So, again, I don't see how that was racist. Maybe I'm not seeing anything that's wrong, but I don't see how it's racist. Let's see. Is there any other comments that he made about what is racist? Oh, wait, there's like that shirt right here. Okay, so that shirt says like the coolest monkey in the jungle. And honestly, again, I don't see how it's like racist per se, because like, he is the one actually saying that the kid is a monkey. That's like crazy, man. Yeah, so anyway, that's the whole entire like, live stream. It's like been going on for like 1 hour and 52 minutes. So I think that's like long enough for this whole entire stream. But thanks you guys for watching this live stream. It's been really fun. Next time I'll be sure to invite some people to talk with me during this whole entire discussion stuff. And also I see you guys, I guess, in the next live stream in my next videos, and I'll see you guys next time.